Whether you visit our many historic sites, explore our thousands of acres of parks, launch a business, or study at one of our acclaimed universities, you'll agree Mercer County has it all. Mercer County, picture yourself here. Mercer County Executive Brian Hughes and the Board of Commissions are proud to sponsor Mercer Local Influencers.
Presenting Mercer Local Influencers, featuring leaders in our community whose positive influence is bringing energy, growth, and vitality to Mercer County. Presented by YourTownTube.com, FitFeb and WellTube, and Stimulus Brand.
Hello, Mercer County. Welcome to another episode of Mercer Local Influencers. My guest today is a friend and colleague in the banking business, Carly Meyer Bentley. Carly and I have known each other for some time. And Carly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here and look forward to sharing our adventures and connecting our common themes through the years.
There are a number of them, and particularly I'm intrigued with the early years in your life because, like you, I didn't grow up in this area. I'm not from the area, but I think the lessons that I learned as a kid were things that carried me through. So tell us a little bit about your early years.
Yeah, the early years. I think those are important, and they prepare us for what we're moving towards into the future. I think that you got to do the hard things first. I think that's what I learned as a kid. You know, growing up in a little town called Hampshire, Illinois, I think there were 1,946 people in that town. I think they still included livestock in those numbers, right? So hailing from that and being in this 8.9 square foot mile area, I was in lockstep with my dad. I mean, our family business was everything, and from as early as I can remember, I mean, I was climbing into snow removal trucks and, you know, delivering permits to job sites, and it didn't really matter if you were a girl or a boy. It was about showing up and getting it done, and those perseverance and showing up and being part of the community were just life. That's the way things were. So I think it carried into my life growing up that way and prepared me for some of the more difficult climbs, I think. It's interesting, Dad and I were just talking the other day, and you know, I think confidence is key in a lot of things. And, you know, you can't order confidence on Amazon and have it delivered to the door. Right. You know, confidence is something that you prove to yourself. You get confidence by doing hard things. So as a kid, every challenge that was presented in our house, it was, if you failed, it was your first attempt in learning. So what a great way to grow up, a great place to grow up.
And those lessons, you still involve your father in that discussion, which is great. But you transitioned then from Hampshire to the Northeast. How did you
John,
pick
do you know
Northeast?
What it was?
What?
I have had a love affair with New York City since I can remember. Do you remember that movie, Married to the Mob, with Michelle Pfeiffer? Yeah. I thought that was the coolest thing. I told my dad when I graduated college, I was going to go to New York City and marry a mobster. And he was like, Carly, you don't need to leave Chicago for that. There's plenty of them here. And he knew that it had nothing to do with my mobster fantasies, but it was really more about, you know, giving myself the life that I wanted, being outside of this little town and exploring life, right? And I think the base of having the confidence to leave and the opportunity to fail and come back was something that was very appealing, and he never held me back from that. So I literally, John, hopped in the car with 5 of my girlfriends and headed to the Jersey Shore in pursuit of this great life in New York City.
So you knew you'd find some New Yorkers on the Jersey coast.
Yeah, right. I figured it was like close enough because that's a scary place, a transition from Hampshire to going to New York. But as soon as I graduated college, we hopped in and went to the Jersey Shore, and we did meet a lot of people. But that's what's great about New Jersey, specifically this county. I mean, there's some great people here that are very much a part of the second launch part of my life.
And
So.
also the access that we have to the Jersey beaches from this area, sure. So you got involved in the banking business, again, a parallel world to mine in terms of your establishment of learning your craft, as we discussed, and your craft was banking.
It was.
So tell us a little bit about that experience and what led it to Princeton.
Sure. So I think as we talked about those formative years and learning perseverance and building confidence by doing hard things and learning my craft, banking was a place where I learned he who holds the money makes the rule. And the pen was important. And being a daughter of an entrepreneur and those stories like Dr. Seuss in my household growing up, I really was intrigued by finance, and it was no question that I was going to be that person in our family that learned finance and learned it well. So I dove into that quite quickly, and it came very natural to understand story problems and applied math and figuring out how to say yes more often to entrepreneurs so that they could grow their businesses. So that's why I moved in towards that.
So you landed at, was the Bank of Princeton here locally?
I did locally, yes. I would say I was hired by the Bank of New York Mellon in Philadelphia. I reported to Philadelphia, but my reporting office, or the office that I reported to, was up in Boston, and they put me through the paces. It was an intense group of Harvard grads that really taught me credit, and I think it prepared me for Princeton, for the opportunities in Princeton and then beyond. So I was recruited outside of Philadelphia by this adorable local bank called the Bank of Princeton, and it was on the heels of the recession. And they were starting and needed somebody to help them grow their business, or business development, lending, commercial lending.
And that brought you to town then, and in coming to town, I see that you also got involved on the business side with external opportunities, the Princeton Merchant Association.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Growing up in an entrepreneurial household, I guess I've always been one, and I needed to learn how to apply all of these technical skills so that I could expand. So how wonderful it was in December, I think, of 2011. I met some amazing people like Jack Morrison, Lori Raybon, Mark Sensitz, yourself, Elizabeth Kasperian at the time. I'm missing a lot of people. Chris Hannington. There's a plethora of people who saw something in me that said, you know what, she's going to be a great part of our community. I was elected president of the Princeton Merchants Association, whose mission is focused on creating sustainable local communities. And bringing in what I've seen in my experience is that when people use their natural abilities and their vocation and their volunteerism all in the same place, you can build a pretty fantastic community. And those impacts are responsible for what we call the neighborhood, where we grow up and where we play and work and everything else. So that Princeton Merchants Association really was the harbinger for me, and the pivot, and how I was going to apply all of this technical knowledge that I learned from the banking business and the lending business and venture capital and investment management, and how could I pivot this to help now a community to thrive in many ways.
And the work ethic that you picked up in Hampshire, Illinois from your father.
Yes.
So it's, I see this theme running through the aspects of your business career that I've been part of, and I'm watching further still. And I think we've all been fortunate to have found this area, Mercer County, and in particular Princeton, because it allows us to take those lessons early learned and the craft, and then apply it towards a leadership opportunity. And I see that in the work that you did with the Princeton Merchant Association, and certainly probably within the Bank of Princeton in the work that you did there.
Yeah, I think Mercer influencers the true assets of Mercer are the people. The people create the culture. And those same people that were supportive of me, I recognized there was never an I in that story. It was what I alluded to before was everybody brought their best game, whatever their game was, and they played their best game with each other. And those leaders provided more opportunity for anybody that raised their hand that was willing to try. And that's, to me, is American. That's an American opportunity to just apply your best, your highest best. So Mercer influenced me in so many ways through the people that I met and the opportunities that they gave me and the support that they gave me. And then in turn, obviously, that's the way it works, our human nature, we want to give back. So influencing back to the same community and bringing resources that I have and want to share with the people.
And having fun in those moments too. So I recall some pictures of you on Palmer Square, dressed in period garb, representing the Merchants Association, and you know, that sort of environment is that environment that many of our developers will say is a live, work, and play model.
Yes. Yes, I think that's what makes this place very special. Even into my earlier days and coming into Princeton, Hamilton Square was a place that I met some great people, and they invited me, you know, into their community. But you're right, it is the fun in the intellectual conversations that we have in our smart space, because this is what we do. But we do have fun, and we do get theatrical, and we giggle, but that's what makes this place great, I think.
Well, so glad that we got to be a part of it together, and that you continue with the Freckled Strawberry. We'll talk about that in the second part of our show. For now, we're going to take a short break with a message from Tom McManaman at Stimulus Brand. We'll be back in a moment.
Do you have a personal brand? Sure you do. You're the light in the room, full of color and energy. You exude presence. You have command and confidence. You're friendly and approachable. Or maybe you're the calm in a storm, quiet and inquisitive, the observer. Do people expect a certain style from you in how you dress and speak? Are you consistent? These characteristics and more present a unique you, which become your brand and essentially your reputation. Remember, your brand is what people will think, feel, say, and even write about you when you're no longer in the room. How well you manage your brand can help you succeed, and it's worth your attention. Learn more at stimulusbrand.com.
Looking for something fun to do? How about spending the day outside with the family? Or a romantic date with wine? What about lunch with a view? Feed your adventurous appetite with all that Mercer County has to offer. Come visit us again soon. We've missed you. Mercer County is open for business.
Mercer Local Influencers. It's powerful.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers. It's powerful.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers. Powerful.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers. Caring is sharing. Princeton Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Mercer Local Influencers. Sharing is caring.
Princeton Local Mercer Influencers. Sharing is caring.
And we're back on the set with Carly Meyer Bentley. I am just thrilled to have you in because, again, we were talking earlier in the show about our connections to this town, but they are, it's a town we can visit, it's a town we can still work in and be part of, but you've expanded your scope of influence beyond, and you were recruited out of the area. So tell us a little bit about that transition and what occurred after the Bank of Princeton days.
It was an exciting time, but a sad time at the same time. Mm-hmm. So the Bank of Princeton, and when I was brought into the Bank of Princeton to do their business development, I was quickly promoted to the Director of Retail Administration, and I was responsible for 70 souls, 70 very talented souls, and to expand the business. And we did exactly what we set out to do. The bank grew to its point where it went public. And for me, it was another career opportunity to grow. And I had had all this experience in commercial and private banking and now management and bringing a bank public that I thought, okay, I'm gonna get my Series 7 66 and move my career forward in investment management and hone in a little bit more on my craft. So I was recruited out of Princeton into Philadelphia, where I went back to Wall Street in a lot of ways, and spent the last 7 years managing very big institutions, places like the Kimmel Center, WHYY, managing their investment management business, and then also managing some families and other schools, Mercer County Community College, Westchester University. And I've had this great experience now of working in a different capacity in Philadelphia and all the towns in between Philadelphia and Princeton in that corridor. And so I've spent that last 7 years doing that, and what's great is I still return back to Princeton. I still call my friend John and say, hey, I need some help with a client. A client needs something, and also sharing our relationship with some colleagues that I've developed now out in the Philadelphia market. So that's what I've been up to. It was sad and hard, but it was something that I needed to do.
Well, you also met your husband.
I did.
You were telling me the story about your 5th wedding anniversary, and
it's a good one.
Yeah, well, share it with the audience. We'd love to hear it.
It's an incredible thing. So Tom and I are celebrating our 5-year wedding anniversary. He did a great job. He chartered this boat that had a full crew on it. I wouldn't have to cook, and it was an entire week, and we were going to start in Newport.
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket sail around.
Cuddy Hunk.
Yes, that's exactly right. And maybe 2 days before we were supposed to leave, the steering column in the boat broke. I'm glad it broke before we got out there. I'm not a seasoned sailor like Tom is, but I thought, okay, that's good. But where are we going to go for our 5-year wedding anniversary? So Tom said to me, honey, why don't you show me Princeton? You always talk about Princeton. Show me Princeton. So I was like, okay, without even having to pull strings, because I've got these deep relationships here that have been for a long time forming. I called Witherspoon Grill and booked dinner there, and Nassau Club, and booked our 2-night stay there, and really tooled around, went to Mistral. We were in Heinz Plaza. We walked all along Nassau Street, which has changed a lot, and it's great to see so many familiar faces. I ran into Kristen Applegate, I ran into Jerry McLean and Sherry McLean, and it was nice to see everybody. So what I thought my 5-year anniversary would be up in Newport, I returned to Princeton, and this is like twice in 2 weeks that I've been here, so it's great to be here and see you.
And thank you. And Tom got a chance to meet the cast of characters.
He did, and he kept saying, honey, this is a charming place. I love this here. I can see why you talk about it so fondly.
And in that time period in Philadelphia, in that market, you also had the seeds of a design for your business now.
I did,
The Freckled Strawberry. So tell us a little bit about the formation and what the Freckled Strawberry is about.
Yeah, it's been fascinating. I have tried many times to replicate what we do here in Mercer County in Philadelphia. I've met some wonderful people, the Chester County Economic Development out in Pennsylvania. I've developed those relationships, and like I said, spent 7 years building out an add-on to my already pretty extensive checkerboard of financial services that I've been involved in. And I realized and noticed a gap. And whatever that gap was, I was going to get to the bottom of why it's there. So the Freckled Strawberries mission is to advance women in financial independence, hands down. I saw through the many conversations that I've had through the course of my career, not just Philadelphia, but here in Princeton, New Jersey, New York, Boston, Atlanta, there's a gap between women owning the responsibility to make their own financial choices. They defer. And why do they defer? Is finance just such a boring topic that they don't want to talk about it? What is it? So I poured myself into a class and worked with The Economist. You've heard of that. It's a great paper. They write, the Brits write in a very different way. They're entertaining. And so I said, let me take a course with them. I will do my white paper. I dedicated this time and really dove into women's relationship with money. Right. Why do they do the things they do? Why do we do the things we do? And I researched that there are two primary influences in addition to a woman's own innate ability that are responsible for financial outcomes. One is distal influence and one is proximal. Distal is like your community, your social norms, your environment, your sociology, your socioeconomic background. And then there's things like proximal that are closer to you, like your values, your beliefs, your core system that's usually steeped in family circumstances. And the quantifiable data showed that worldwide, there's only 3% of people that truly understand how to use financial instruments, women being a little less. Cultures like Mediterranean cultures even less. Asian cultures even more. Asian women lead the charge in understanding financial instruments. So I have made it my mission to empower women to make informed decisions. They don't have to be the breadwinner. It just means that you are making choices out of a place of knowing and have clarity as opposed to fear or shaking your head yes when you really don't know. That is the basis of the Freckled Strawberry.
And you were fortunate in having people in your life like your father, your family, the circumstances of your education, the learning your craft. But many others don't.
Right.
Yet they're still finding places as a result of an idea or a discipline on their own of financial success. Or they're close to that, they just need that nudge and that person or group of people who can provide the mentorship to get there.
That's right.
And I believe that's a thread through
100%. Okay. You articulated that very well. Nice job. Yeah, it's fascinating to know that PhDs, lawyers, people doctors that are very educated in their specialty, doesn't necessarily mean that they understand how financial instruments work. We make assumptions. Well, they must be because they're doing so well in their place. But that's not so much the truth. So what I've come to believe in my natural ability, John, is that people trust me, so I hearken back to being that consigliere. And a consigliere is somebody that is your most trusted advisor, that you can completely shed all of your fears and just be straight. So on a one-on-one basis, I have conversations with women specifically, men call me too, and we walk through a methodology that I trademarked. I believe that there's 7 conversations or 7 topics of finance that every person should know. And I'm focused and dedicated on bringing at least 200 seeds to bear, Freckled Strawberry seeds to bear in the next 18 months based on that methodology.
And in that methodology and in those conversations, you'll often say, okay, the next person you ought to talk to is, and you've involved others.
I have.
It's not just you at the Freckled Strawberry.
That's right. That's right. What's interesting, I have found the partnerships. We talked a little bit earlier about the relationships in Mercer County. It's your natural ability, your vocation, and your volunteerism. So when we get to a topic like tax, right, I call that, got to settle up, got to pay your taxes. I will call a CPA. Actually, there's one locally. Her name is Melinda. at Axiom CPAs that I call on, and she'll have a conversation with the woman about her taxes. Or, you know, writing your story is another way of saying, I need to do my estate planning. So I bring in partners to fill those particular needs.
And those partners you've found throughout the area, they're not just in the Philadelphia market. They're a mixed geographically speaking. So I know you've been kind enough to call me in a couple of situations. So it's not just women you're introducing as an expert within a particular field, but you're involving people throughout the larger geography.
Yes. Yes, and I would say, without being too corny on the pun, I'm cherry picking or strawberry picking the relationships and the people that I bring into the offering, because I need to trust those partners to give good advice. And it's been through a series of this long career that I have, and I'm really proud of the people that are supporting the Freckled Strawberry. We have 12 women on our advisory board, 3 of which have their PhD. We have some tax people that are running major accounts like Nike, maybe Rolls-Royce you might recognize. So these are no soft people. These are accomplished women and men that truly care about
and want to
the
get
relationships.
Back.
That's right, 100% right.
Great. Well, I imagine Tom is thrilled. He couldn't have a better partner in his work and his business. And your father must be thrilled with where you've taken the lessons learned early on in life in Hampshire, Illinois.
Yeah.
So glad that you're still part of the Mercer County community.
Very happy to be here.
Great, and you came in and spoke with us today. So really appreciate you sharing your story with our audience, and look forward to our next episode of Mercer Local Influencers. It'll be a tough one to follow with Carly's interview today, but we'll welcome you back. And please do also visit our website at Central New Jersey Network. We appreciate all the support, and if you like this show, please pass it on to friends.
Women have come a long way in career selection and job opportunity, but the gap in wealth generation remains. The Freckled Strawberry is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering financial independence in women. Financial independence can mean different things to different people. At the Freckled Strawberry, we define financial independence as having the ability to make educated decisions about money matters, be informed. We help women by guiding them through our trademark methodology, Finally, a financial model designed by women for women. Are you an entrepreneur? Our proven methodology will provide instant lift in your business. Be a bastion. Are you a corporate professional? The methodology will foster proper financial planning so you can trailblaze. Are you a stay-at-home mom on a mission? Build your family's wealth. Be their champion. The Journal of Financial Counseling and Planning have determined 2 categories that influence the relationship a woman has with her money and her career. One is distal influence, like culture, community, and economic background. The other is proximal influence, things closer, such as values and beliefs that are steeped in family life. These 2 categories, along with a woman's innate behavior, are responsible for outcomes. If financial independence interests you, the Freckled Strawberry will guide you through the taboo and shift your beliefs. Go deep, be a champion. She can and she will.
Take care now.